Don't take this boy. He's no good. He's not able enough to be on the team anymore. How will he ever live alone when he has autism? That extra chromosome is certainly weighing him down. You never think comments like these could actually ever be said until you hear them for yourselves. And working with, coaching with, volunteering alongside, and most importantly, befriending those with disabilities, it really teaches you a thing or two and greatly expands your perspective of humanity. Now, with all that learning, it's also quickly realized that plenty of people do not have many interactions with those with disabilities. Whether it's not knowing how to talk to them, if they interact with them, not knowing how to look at them, or rather they're looking a little too long as if they're trying to assess a situation, there certainly is a wide array of how these individuals with disabilities are perceived. Now, I keep using the term disability, which a few may find unkind. It's always carried a bit of a negative connotation. But today, as we dive into a few lessons, experiences, and when you meet a few of my friends, I hope this connotation changes positively. Over the past decade, I've been fortunate enough to be deeply involved in a few organizations geared towards those with working with those with disabilities. Since high school, I've been a buddy and coach at Buddy Up for Life, teaching those with Down syndrome how to play tennis. In the summers, I'm a coach and buddy at Miracle League, right down the road here in New Albany, which gives a platform for those with disabilities to play baseball. Now, I'm also a coach for Special Olympics basketball here in New Albany, and during college, I was our vice president of our Best Buddies chapter, which pairs an individual with a disability with a student from our college. Now, with all this, it's all added up to about 1,500 service hours. And that's not me standing up here trying to brag to you about how great of a person I am, which it is nice. But it's also to prove that even at the age of 23, I've seen the importance of working hard, volunteering in my community, and trying my best to make a difference at a personal level. I don't have any biological siblings with disabilities, but I certainly have gained many brothers and sisters who do. Now, with all this, there's a very clear problem that I've realized, and it all stems from this idea of value and undervalued. Those with disabilities are simply undervalued today, and it's time that stops. From those hurtful comments to seeing how they are treated, there really is a lack of people seeing the value in those with disabilities. Now, what's important is to define what is meant here by value and undervalue. Undervalued in this sense is not the fact that they're lacking value in any way or they're below us, but rather it's the fact that they do have value and it's someone else's inability to see their value. What's also a little bit more important is to define value. I could stand up here and give you a long philosophical meaning with words none of us will understand, but truly at its core, value is the internal, intangible meaning we all have, and there's great importance with that. All of us serve a purpose. All of us have importance, and all of us are put on this earth in this time and place for a reason. Hence, we all have value. Now, this all stems from a book I read, and it comes to this idea that I have learned the importance of looking up to people. And that's primarily for two reasons. One is I'm 5'6". I understand I'm not the tallest guy. I find myself having to look up to others. That's just how it is. I get it. The second reason is, and I think you would all relate to this, is the fact that I've seen the importance from learning from others, their mistakes, their successes, their failures, and their trials, and how they've overcome that. And there's great importance with that. With that, I would like you all to introduce you to Ernie Johnson and Michael. Ernie Johnson may be a familiar name to some of you. He's a famous sportscaster on TNT, where he works alongside Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, and Kenny Smith. In Ernie's book, Unscripted, a personal favorite of mine, he runs through this idea of value in everybody. Value in everybody. And he connects it back to his son, Michael, who's on the screen on the left. In his book, he goes through this idea of how Ernie and his wife, Cheryl, want to adopt. They have this inner feeling that they want to adopt, so his wife, Cheryl, goes to Romania and stumbles across Michael. She had this deep inner feeling that I want to adopt Michael. But before doing so, the nurse goes to Cheryl and says, "Don't take this boy. He's no good. Don't take this boy. He's no good." Despite the hurtful comment, Ernie and Cheryl still go ahead and adopt Michael. And as his life progresses, he's diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, which is a disability where your muscles digress and weaken as time goes on. In the book as well, there's a story of how Michael had a run-in with his high school basketball coach. the high school basketball coach, Phil Beaulieu, goes into Michael's classroom, having not met Michael before. As Phil leaves, he hears Michael say, "Love you too." Love you too. This is love you too in sign language. Phil hears this and is floored. Goes home that night, calls up Ernie and says, "I want Michael to be a part of my basketball team." Ernie goes, "Phil, let's be real. He's in a wheelchair, and his bones are weaker than anybody his age." Phil goes, "I want him to be my 5-foot impact player with no vertical leap. I want him to teach my players about having a heart for others and seeing the value in others." Michael would go on for the last 3 years of his high school career of being a huge part of that basketball team. Senior night, he walks out, they all honor him. All of his teammates have invited him to his wedding, and he really made this larger-than-life impact. He was by far, bone-wise, the weakest on his team, but truly the strongest overall. With that, we can learn that even though someone's in a wheelchair or however they may appear, you can still make a difference with all of that. And there is great value. And that is where Michael's value comes in. Despite being in a wheelchair, he's able to make a larger-than-life impact on those around him. And it resonates to this room today. Remember, with that, value in everybody. With that, real quick, I do want to quantify this opportunity that we have in front of us. In a recent post put out by Special Olympics, 3% of the world has IDD, intellectual and developmental disabilities, which equates to about 245 million people. Now visualize, it's about 18 of the most populated states in America. That, my friends, right there is the opportunity we have in front of us today. Now, before I introduce you all to a few of my friends, I do want to add a piece of the framework that's going to help you all think about how to see value. And that is this idea that value is not transactional. Value is not transactional. I cannot give you my value, but nor can my value be taken away from me. And there's great beauty in that. And that's just how it works. Value is not transactional, but it's the lessons that we can learn from those with value, where we can learn from, take away, apply to ourselves, and benefit ourselves and those around us. So with that, I would like you all to meet 3 of my friends who have value deep within them and have greatly added to my perspective of humanity. Just a little background is I grew up in Chicago for about 11 years. It was a suburb of Chicago called Niederpruem, and I still keep in touch with many of those friends today. One of my good friends, Mark, one of the best athletes you'll come by. Currently a quarterback in the University of Iowa, where he just transferred, and won 2 FCS championships at South Dakota State University. Best athlete I've ever met. His sister played collegiate D1 softball at Butler University. Now, I went to Butler, so go Bulldogs, a little biased there. But between Mark and his sister being 2 successful D1 athletes, the best athlete in their family is not Mark nor his sister. It's their brother, Ryan. Ryan is one of those guys who just has a greater love of sports. Huge sports guy. I've only known him as a guy who's playing sports, knows everything about sports, and just a big fan. Ryan, growing up, would be a part of the neurotypical sports teams, basketball, football, baseball, you name it. Until one day, the coach of his basketball teams comes over to Ryan's mom and says, next year, Ryan's not going to be invited back, as the ability margin had widened. So that's when Ryan and his family found Special Olympics. Ryan would go on, be a part of a few Special Olympics teams, most notably the flag football team. Because growing up, Ryan, at the age of 4, was diagnosed with epilepsy and IDD. It wasn't apparent at the time, but as time went on, that ability margin truly had widened. They find Special Olympics and joined the flag football team. 2 years ago, Ryan had the opportunity to represent the state of Illinois at the Special Olympics Games down in Orlando, where he began competing for a gold medal. Ryan and his team went down. The cool part is he's so used to being the biggest cheerer and fan in the stadium for his sister and his brother, but now those roles were reversed. Ryan would go on, win the gold medal, and was highlighted by Good Morning America with Tim Tebow. And this idea of be like Ryan, how we can all be like Ryan. See, Ryan has this greater level of life about him that's just contagious. He's one of those guys who just fill up your cup. And he really is just that guy for many people in his life. The cool thing about Ryan is that he didn't care about being diagnosed with IDD or epilepsy. He went on, gives life all he's got, and ended up becoming a gold medalist with all while still being a leader on and off the court. Between being told he's not able enough to be on the team anymore, to going on, being a leader on and off the court, and making a difference to those around him, we all should be like Ryan. Value. My next friend is a friend of mine who I've known the last 5 years. I attended Butler University, where I was the vice president of the Best Buddies chapter, which is an international organization that pairs you up with someone with a disability in the area. Alex and I were fortunate enough to be buddies for all 4 years, so him and I truly developed a very intimate relationship. Now, Alex is 25. He does have autism, but really you wouldn't recognize it. He's very high functioning. He works in a nursing home, he's able to drive, and he also lives by himself. This is a very common misconception about those with disabilities, that you're never going to be able to move out of your parents' house. Alex has been living alone outside of his house for about 2 years now, and he certainly has beaten down that misconception. Between someone who loves movies, knows everything about every single actor and actress ever known to man, and someone who truly just loves going to the movie theaters, I can certainly guarantee you that Alex's best quality lies within where his value is. And that is the fact that he is one of the best friends you could ask for. Alex lived about 10 minutes away from me with my time at Butler. He was always there to talk, always wanted to hang out, and whether or not it was warranted, he gave us great relationship advice. And he's one of those guys who's just truly worldly knowledgeable. He carries a conversation better than most people I know. He really wants to get to know you on a deep emotional level, and like I said, he truly is one of the best friends you could ever ask for. From being told he'll never be able to move out of his parents' house, to moving out of his parents' house, doing a darn good job of doing that and keeping it clean and caring for 2 of his cats, to being the best friend anyone could ask for. That's Alex. Value. So far, we've met Michael and his ability to make a larger-than-life impact on those around him, despite being in a wheelchair. We met Ryan and his ability to beat down the IDD and epilepsy diagnosis and becoming a gold medalist. We just met Alex and how he's one of the best friends you could ask for. And now we have Ben. I'm a true believer in the fact that people come into your life for a reason, whether it's short-term or long-term, to teach you a few things. If I look back in the last 23 years of my life, Ben is at the top of that list. Ben and I got to know each other about 10 years ago. We knew each other a little bit before between being family friends, but it was 10 years ago in gym class where we truly got to know each other on a deep level. Now, if you don't know Ben, unfortunately, I can tell you that he is stubborn. It is his world and we just get to live in it, and it's a great world we get to live in. Ben, it's hard for Ben to open up to people. That's how it is, and that's how it is for some people with disabilities. Ben started gravitating towards me just a little bit, and so that developed a great relationship. Every Saturday, Ben and I go and play tennis, we grab food, and he's just one of my good brothers. With that, he's taught me a few things. He loves chocolate ice cream, loves his movies, and he loves looking at photos on the Photos app on his iPad. Now, I know that may seem so small, but over the last 10 years, when he has his iPad out at dinner or in the car, he's always flipping through photos. Now, with that, if you look at my phone and my screen time, I can guarantee you the #1 app clicked on is my Photos app, and that has become because of Ben. Reminiscing on old memories, current memories, whether it's 10 years ago or 10 days ago. Photos, they're important, and Ben has certainly taught me that. Also on that, Ben is nonverbal, but for someone who is nonverbal, him and I do a great job of communicating with each other. That's mostly through what I call Ben language, also known as sign language. With that, this means mom, this means dad, this means please, this means thank you, and Ben and I's personal favorite, McDonald's. You see, Ben really teaches you things, and it's hard for me to stand up here and describe to you all the impact that Ben has had on him locally and personally. But let me tell you, he's the best that you will ever find, and I'm so fortunate for Ben in my life. Now with that, those with disability, those with Down syndrome do have an extra chromosome. They have the 3rd copy of the 21st chromosome, hence why 321, March 21st, is World Down Syndrome Day. But with that extra chromosome also comes extra compassion, extra sympathy, extra strength, and so many extraordinary capabilities that I cannot begin to describe. Between having that extra chromosome, being the best friend you could ever ask for, and really just having an extra impact on me, that's Ben. value. Well, folks, it's time for all of us to team up. Every team that I've been a part of has been successful because we've seen the value in working hard for each other, playing for each other, and seeing the value in each and every teammate. From being told, don't take this boy, he's no good, to making a larger-than-life impact on his basketball team. From being told he's not able enough to be on the team anymore, to becoming a gold medalist. From being told he'll never be able to move out of his parents' house, to moving out of his parents' house, keeping it clean, caring for his 2 cats, and being the best friend anyone could ask for. And from having an extra chromosome to having so many extraordinary capabilities, that, my friends, is value. So with all of that, I want to leave you all with 2 asks. It's not homework, so don't worry. But the first one is, don't be too quick to judge. It's not fair to you, and it's not fair to them. Get to really know these individuals with disabilities. I promise you, it'll go a long way. Now with number 2, it's to get involved. We have so many great organizations in the United States, internationally, and even in your own backyard. Buddy Up for Life, Best Buddies, Miracle League, Special Olympics, and so many more organizations that provide a platform for those with disabilities and for you all to learn. And so with that, folks, I do want to say thank you and cheers to seeing the value in those who should no longer be undervalued. Thank you.